And you guys excited to be at church this morning? Quick announcement, quick reminder. March 4th at 6:30 will be our rescheduled flow night. We were originally gonna have one. It got rescheduled because of the ice. That is on March 4th at 6:30. If you're not really sure what a flow night is, it's an opportunity for us to come in here and go with the flow. We are gonna have songs picked out. We have a tentative schedule, what we think is gonna happen. But the idea of flow night is, man, if we get in here and we feel like the Lord says, throw it all away and do something different and get on your knees for 50 minutes and pray without music, hopefully, I don't think that's probably what it's gonna be. But if he did, we would go with the flow and we would say yes. It's an opportunity, honestly, man, just to seek God and enjoy the Holy Spirit without a plan and without an agenda. And so I wanna invite you guys to come March 4th, 6:30. You will not be sorry if you take the opportunity to come and join us. Also, very quickly want to honor a few people. Because they do it so well, we oftentimes overlook the fact that there are between 80 to 100 people who serve here in different capacities every single weekend from all the different teams that we have. And like I said, they do it well and they don't always get the recognition that I feel like they deserve, but we would not be the church that we are without every single one of our team members. So could you guys take just 10 seconds and honor everyone that's on a team here at Overflow Church? Today is part 7, and I'm sure you're wondering when this is gonna come to an end, but I'm not telling you in case I wanna extend it. So it's part 7 of a series we've been in for a second now called Stronger, Better, Core, where we are using the beginning part of 2022 to talk through one of our church's brand new core values each week in order to strengthen the core of who we are, what we do, and why we do it as a church collectively, as well as hopefully give you guys some basics on what it looks like to follow Jesus individually. And today, for our 7th core value in the name and in the spirit of honoring the people around us, core value number 7, and our title for today is this: we demonstrate honor. We demonstrate honor. Here at Overflow Church, we go out of our way to demonstrate honor. And that word demonstrate, just on the count of 3, say demonstrate. 1, 2, 3. Demonstrate. That word demonstrate's really important because it implies action. Okay, you can feel honor in here. You can feel honor in here, like in your heart. And I think that's good. It's a great starting place. But I'm afraid that a lot of times as believers, we stop at internally honoring people and honoring them in our minds and honoring them in our hearts. But here we go out of our way to take that to the next level, to turn that inner appreciation for someone into honor by demonstrating it publicly. And the reason that we do that, the reason it's such a big deal for us is because of verses like Romans 12:10. I want you to look at it real fast. It'll be up on the screen. Romans 12:10. It's not our main verse for today. It is a supporting verse, but I do want to read it. It's very short and it's easily overlooked. But if you applied this to your life, I would say there'd be lots of ramifications, okay? This is what it says. Love one another with brotherly affection. And I love this next word. Outdo one another in showing honor. Outdo one another in showing honor. So let's get it straight. If you guys ever read the Bible, you know all over and over, time and time again, we are warned against living lives like where we compare ourselves and when we compete against the people around us, except right here, we are told that the one time it is okay to compete with each other, to try and outdo each other, is through the realm of showing honor to the people around us. This is why we hosted the awards banquet that we hosted here on Friday night. I'm sure some of you saw pictures of that and you may have been wondering what that was. Every year, we host an awards banquet called the Awards. And the only people that are invited to the Awards are those who serve on teams here at Overflow Church. The idea is that they get invited, they come dressed up, we feed them good, we decorate the building, we hire a photographer, we play some funny videos, and then team members, or the team leaders from their respective teams give out different awards to everybody. And the reason that we go out of our way to plan and pay for events like that is because of one thing. We demonstrate honor. We are committed to demonstrating honor to people who deserve to be honored. We love celebrating the fact that so many people use their gifts and use their efforts to help their church and thus even help their community. This is also why I constantly have you guys clap for different people. This is also why if you follow any of our ministry team leaders on Instagram or Facebook, you're gonna see us posting about different people at our church all the time. And this is also why, just like you saw today, once every about 2 months, we're gonna do this thing called the honor roll. And all the honor roll is where we take the pre-sermon video that you have every Sunday And we just honor different people in our church for different reasons. And the reason that we do this is because first and foremost, it is a basic Christian value that I think a lot of us never got taught growing up. But the second reason we do it is because this idea of regularly demonstrating honor is especially important to us here at Overflow Church. And I'll explain to you why. About a year ago, almost this exact time, which is kind of crazy that these sermons are falling where they are. About a year ago, I had a good friend of mine reach out to me and say that she had a dream. And in her dream, she had visited Overflow Church one Sunday. And when she got here, we were in the middle of what we were calling an honor campaign. And what we did, all the honor campaign was we used those pre-sermon videos to honor different people at our church who never really got recognized, who didn't get a bunch of stage time, who didn't get a bunch of screen time. We went out of our way to show love and appreciation to those people. And she said in her dream, each time somebody was honored, this overwhelming sense of the presence of God filled the room so much so that she couldn't even move in the dream. And so when she tells me the dream, I'm like, that's a word from God. If I've ever heard one, like, we're going to do that immediately. We started doing the honor roll. We did it for 3 straight weeks, actually. Like, God, we want your blessing on what we're doing around here. If this is your word. But I knew that was a word from God, not because we just listen to dreams all the time and tell us what dreams say. I knew it was a word from God because that's what his word already says. It's already all up in the Bible. All you got to do, 1 Corinthians 12:26, referring to the church, the body of Christ. This is what it says, 1 Corinthians 12:26. If one part, AKA if one member of the church suffers, then all the other members of the church suffer with him. But if one member of the church is honored, then all the members of the church are glad. Here's my thinking. If all the members of the church are glad when even just one person is honored, that means Jesus is glad because he's the head of the church. And in my experience, when Jesus is happy about something going down at a church, he shows up. He's there. He wants to be a part of it. And so that's our goal. We would like Jesus to be happy with what's going on around here. And so we thought the dream was cool. But as cool as the dream was and as cool as the promise attached to that dream actually is, us becoming people who regularly go out of our way to demonstrate honor to the people around us, this is not just because of a dream. Okay, that's not just why we do it. It's important to us because as followers of Jesus, honoring other people should already be a high priority for us. It shouldn't have taken a dream for us to start learning how to honor people. That's already stuff that Jesus has talked about. And I want to quickly just show you what I'm talking about. Look with me today in Luke 14. This is going to be kind of like our main passage of scripture today. Luke 14, and we're going to be in verse number 7. Luke 14, verse number 7. This is what it says. When Jesus noticed that all who had come to this dinner were trying to sit in the seats of honor near the head of the table, he gave them this good piece of advice. When you're invited to a wedding feast, don't sit in the seat of honor, because what if someone more distinguished than you has also been invited? Then the host is going to come and say to you, you know what, give this person your seat. And then you'll be embarrassed, and you'll have to take whatever seat is left at the foot of the table. So instead, take the lowest place at the foot of the table. Then when your host sees you, he'll come and say, friend, we have a better place for you. And then you will be honored in front of all the other guests. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. So this is what's happening here, okay? All these dudes are trying with everything they can to sit in the popular seats. They want everyone to see them and notice them and recognize them. They want to be seen as important. And what Jesus is trying to very nicely communicate to them is this. No. As my followers, y'all need to get used to sitting at the end of the table, at the worst seats of the table. Because James and John, even though I know y'all mama talked you up the whole time you were growing up and she told you how special and how wonderful and how awesome you were, in reality, you ain't that important. Now, I want you to look the person you're sitting next to and remind them of that. Just say, you ain't that important. Come on, this is your one opportunity to say this to somebody and not get in trouble. Kids, I give you full permission if you're sitting next to your parents. If you're engaged, don't say this to the person you're sitting next to. Say, you are so important, baby. You're everything. You ain't that important. And some of y'all need to maybe even write this on your notes. Put it on a little sticky pad where you do your makeup so you can see it every morning. Because Jesus hasn't stopped saying this. He is still saying this. We collectively, we ain't that important. Regardless of how much money you make, how beautiful you are, how much you can bench press, the kind of clothes you wear, what kind of job you have, or your social standing, don't let your bank account lie to you. And don't let your social media followers lie to you either. You ain't that important. And I know somebody in here is kind of like confused and you're thinking, I know I did not get up early this morning, put my makeup on, get my kids ready, make breakfast, and show up for this 29-year-old guy who thinks he's a preacher to tell me that I am not that important. I showed up to serve Jesus, to worship Jesus, to come to church and be encouraged, not to come to church and be belittled. And obviously, for those of you who've been here for a long time, you know that's not my heart. You are very important. You are very valuable. You are awesome in 1,000 different ways. But here's the problem. We, just like these disciples, have the tendency to believe that we're just a little bit more important than we actually are. And because we do that, we don't honor how important everybody else is too. This is why you don't tip good when you go out to eat, because you think you're more important than the server. This is why when you go out to eat, you don't even look your servers in the eye and give them the common decent respect that humans deserve, because you feel like you're more important than them. This is why many of you still don't serve or contribute within your local church that's feeding you and helping you and ministering you, because you feel like you have more important things to do with your time. This is why we look down on criminals and addicts and people who get pregnant before they get married, because somewhere deep inside, even though we're never gonna say it, we feel like we're just a little better than them. We're a little bit more important than them. And so we neglect to honor them. And we don't just do this sometimes, because that's where we're gonna go right now. We think that we do this sometimes. We don't just do this sometimes. And I know that some of y'all feel exempt from this conversation right now. I'm talking right now and you're like, oh, that's not me. I love and honor and respect everybody. I'm amazing. People should be more like me. But you know what I have to say to that person in here? Get real. Get real. In fact, look at the person you're sitting next to, just in case they're that person. I'm not saying they are. Just in case they are, just tell them, say, get real. Get real. That's right. Get real. Because every single person in this room feels better than someone else. You feel better than someone else. It might not be the same person as the person sitting next to you, but you feel better about someone else. Maybe it's that mean boss that you dislike because of like their moral ethics in the workplace, and so you think that you're better than them because of how they treat other people, and it makes you feel better about yourself. Maybe it's the teacher you don't like. Maybe it's a strange girl you go to school with. Maybe it's the person who doesn't dress like you. Maybe it's the person who smells really bad. Maybe it's that irresponsible parent that you have to, put up with their kids all the time because they didn't parent them right. Maybe it's the guy that goes to the gym and spends more time flexing his tricep in the mirror than he does actually working out. And you have to sit there and watch him all the time. I don't know. But the truth is, every single one of us feels more important and better than somebody else. And we don't just feel this way sometimes. We all do this all the time. For example, we use social media to literally get people to like us. Think about the verbiage that you're liking someone's post. We use social media to get people to like us. We buy the clothes that we buy and wear the clothes that we wear so people will compliment us. We spend hours in front of the makeup table and hours at the gym trying to look better than everybody else in our lives. We work hours upon hours upon hours at our job until our relationships and our family falls apart. Also, we can afford to buy lots of things so that other people can look at all that we have and go, man, I wish I was just like them. We all do this all the time. We all do this all the time. And I don't want you to hear me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying the social media or having nice cars or having nice clothes or all that different stuff is bad. Anything that I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm using that as an example to like maybe show you guys how in some way or another, we're all vying for our place at the seat of honor. We're all vying for our seat at the head of the table. In some way, it may not be like I am. It may not be like she is. But every single person in here is vying for your place at the head of the table, at the seat of honor. We all want to be noticed. We all want to be recognized. We all want to be celebrated. There are moments in our lives where we're all the star of the show and our lives revolve around us, and it's really me. Look at me, honor me, I'm amazing. And in Luke 14, Jesus says, you know what, that's fine for the rest of the world. But as for my followers, this little thing called life, it's not about that anymore. It doesn't get to be, when you said yes to following me, you said no to living like that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Look at verse 10. It says, Instead, take the lowest place at the foot of the table. At the foot of the table, in the back seat. Take the back seat. Tone down a little bit. And then when your host sees you, he'll come and say, friend, we have a better place for you. And then you'll be honored in front of all the other guests. Jesus is making sure that we know that when it's time for us to be honored and feel important and feel special, that God, the host in this scenario, he's going to take care of it. That's his problem to worry about. That's his problem to handle. When it's time for you to feel honored and for you to get promoted and for doors to open for you, you're not going to have to do it on your own. God does it. He's got that taken care of. You have one job. You want to know what your job is? Noticing and honoring everybody else at the table. God will look out for you. You don't need to look out for you anymore. You got God on your side. He's got you. He'll get you where you need to be. You ain't got to work for that. Your only job now as a follower of Jesus is to honor everybody else that sits around that table. And I'll be the first to tell you, that ain't easy. That is not easy. That's why we so quickly can celebrate athletes and politicians and celebrities, because we don't know them. Oh, we like them, but we don't actually know them. It's a lot harder, or it's a lot easier to honor people that you don't know, because you ain't actually got to be around them. They don't sit at your table. You have never eaten with those people that you love on social media, that you watch on TV, but you know who does sit at your table? Your family, your children, your spouse, your friends, your coworkers, the people that you go to church with, the people in your community. Those are the people you eat with. Those are the people you know the best. And yet oftentimes, who are the very people that we honor the least? It's the people that we know the best, the people that we've seen at their worst, the people that we do life with the most. Those are always the people that we end up honoring less than everybody else. Those are always the people. For example, anybody else in here, has anyone in here ever had a roommate at all at any point in your life, but just by a show of hands? We got a lot of people up front. Anybody in the back had a roommate? There we go, hands coming up. So you guys already know this. You already know where I'm going. At the beginning, before that person was your roommate, they're your best buddy. Man, y'all shared the same taste in food. You shared the same taste in girls. You shared the same taste in guys, depending on who you are. You shared the same taste in movies. Y'all hung out. Y'all went on trips. Y'all posted pictures together. Y'all couldn't wait to be roomies. And then you became roomies. And you really got to know them. And you really got to know their crazy mood swings. And you really got to know their crazy boyfriend or their crazy girlfriend. You really got to know some of their bad habits, and then you really got to wash some of their dishes. And you really had to put up with some of their nasty smells, and you really had to deal with those annoying quirks for a lot longer than you thought you were gonna have to. And suddenly, 6 months down the road, oh my gosh, I was so excited to move in with this person, and now they're like my worst enemy. It's like the person I despise the most. This is the same reason that like you like your parents a lot more when you're not living with your parents. Because honoring the people that we know the best is sometimes really hard. Honoring people that we really know is sometimes really hard. But correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all just correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that sort of, kind of the call of following Jesus? You know what I'm saying? Honoring and loving people that we don't like always get along with, honoring and loving people that we don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. Look, reading your Bible, good. Going to church, good. Praying, good. Small group, good. Learning about Jesus, good. Really important. But I don't think the goal was for us to learn about Jesus and be able to recite the things that Jesus says. I'm pretty sure the goal was for us to go do the things that Jesus did, right? I'm pretty sure the goal was for us to implement the way of living that Jesus came and modeled in our own lives. Not just talk about how good Jesus is because he did it and he didn't sin. No, I'm pretty sure the goal is for us to go and live like that, for us to honor and love and appreciate people in the same way that Jesus did. Jesus went way out of his way. Like, man, he did a lot of things. He said a lot of things. He preached a lot of sermons and parables and all this stuff. But if there's anything we can agree on, it's that Jesus went way out of his way to honor and love and respect everyone he came in contact with, even the people who were really difficult to be around. Think about it, man. When everybody else despised Zacchaeus because of his lifestyle and his decisions and stuff, what did Jesus do? He went out to lunch with him. He probably paid for his meal if I know Jesus well enough. When everybody else ran from the demonized man in the Gadarenes and talked about how awful he was, get away from him, what did Jesus do? He just propped up and had a conversation with him. What's going on, my man? Where your clothes at? What you doing? How can I help you? When everybody else called Jesus his buddies a bunch of dumb fishermen, he saw them as apostles. He honored them as the people that would lead all of Christianity, that would lead the most important movement to ever sweep the face of the earth. And I suppose even just talking about all these different examples, this is a good time to mention that showing honor looks different depending upon who it is that you're honoring. You honor your spouse in a different way that you honor your boss. And this takes work and it takes intentionality. For example, if you're trying to grow in honoring someone that you don't actually like that much, maybe before you invite them over to your house for a 5-hour-long dinner, maybe you just stop gossiping about them behind their back. It seems like a great starting point. If you're trying to honor your boss, maybe before you start trying to kiss up to him and tell him how good of a job they do as boss, maybe you just show up to work on time. Maybe you just quit calling out so much. Maybe you just do a really good job at work and then they'll feel honored by that. You know, like if you're trying to, we got all of our youth sitting up here in the front section. Y'all do know one of the 10 commandments is honor your father and mother. And then it even comes with a promise. If you do this, you'll have a long and successful life. Y'all know if you're really trying to honor your parents, they don't need to hear lip service, right? They don't need, I'm sorry, your mama loves hearing about how pretty she is and how good her nails look and all this other stuff. But you know what she really wants? For you to respect her. For you to watch your tone when you talk to her. How about this one? For you to tell her the truth. When she asks you where you've been and who you've been hanging out with, that's what honoring your parents looks like. How about for our married people in here? You want to honor your spouse? I will say this. Some of you, it would be good if you started posting pictures of your spouse because I see you posting pictures of cars and I see you posting pictures of your favorite sports team and I see you posting pictures of your favorite social media personality, but I don't ever see you posting pictures of your wife telling her how beautiful she is, and it kind of blows my mind. And if I was her, I wouldn't want to sleep with you either because you don't go out of your way to make her feel beautiful. It's okay. This is an overflow. This is what we do. We talk about real life stuff, okay? So hopefully that didn't offend you. If it did, I sure hope all your Netflix shows offend you as well that you're about to go home and watch today. So how about if you wanted to honor your spouse? Yeah, post a picture of him. Let him know how proud you are of him. But also, what if you just picked your shoes up off the floor like she'd been asking you to this whole time? What if you washed the dishes? Mind blowing. What if you washed the clothes and folded them and put them away before she got home? It's crazy, man. That's next level thinking, ain't it? Wow. What if you, on your way home from work, went out of your way to get them something nice, some candy, get them some Trolley Bright crawlers and a Mountain Dew? Man. Get them something special on a day that's not Valentine's Day. If you want to blow someone's mind, do it. You can get real creative. But you got to remember, honoring different people looks different depending upon who that person is. Not everybody cares about their picture being posted on social media. But you know what everyone loves? Their meal getting paid for when you go out to eat with them. Who hates that? Oh, God, they paid $80 for my meal. Nobody. Honoring different people looks different depending upon who you're honoring. And what I'm about to say, this is not a conversation that we've had as a church just yet, but I feel like it's time to just go there. Y'all okay if I go there? If that's okay, just say, that's okay. That's okay. Okay. Y'all know another group of people that the Bible that God expects you to honor? Your spiritual leaders. God expects you to honor the leaders within whatever local church that you are benefiting from, that you are getting fed from. Let me prove it to you real quick. Look at it with me. 1 Timothy 5:17. Let the elders who rule your church well be considered worthy of double honor, especially those who labor in preaching and teaching. Now, this is probably a stretch for some of y'all because you may or may not have grown up in a household where all you ever did was hear your parents and your grandparents talk bad about the church leaders and complain about them and gossip about them behind their back and complain about how the money was spent. And maybe you assume that that's just what you're supposed to do. Maybe you assume that as a church member, that's how you're supposed to be treating the people who are in charge and who are running the game. But I showed up this morning to make sure you know, no, it ain't. That is not how you're supposed to treat your church leaders. That's not how you're supposed to treat the spiritual leaders in your life, according to the Bible, not me. According to the Bible, those who lead within the church are worthy of double honor. Double honor, not double gossip, not double complaining, not double cynicism, not double rudeness behind their backs or even in front of their face. No. Respect, love, and appreciation. You want to know why? Hebrews 13:17, look at it. Obey your spiritual leaders and do what they say. Why? Their work is to watch over the condition of your soul. And they're accountable to God for this. So would you please give them reason to do this with joy and not with sorrow and not with stress and not with anxiety, because that would certainly not work for your benefit. Your spiritual leaders, their job, they are being held accountable for the condition of your soul. I, along with many of our ministry leaders and staff and other volunteer leaders and small group leaders, are being held accountable by God himself for the condition of your soul. And until you lead within that type of capacity, within a church setting, you will never know how difficult and how stressful and how terrifying that is sometimes. You will never know how it feels to have to constantly reckon with the fact that every move and decision that you make, even outside of your normal work hours, outside of your normal scheduled 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. worship experience times, you'll never know how it feels to know that every decision you make could potentially destroy someone's view of God and the church. Every decision. Until you've been there, until you've walked even a day in those shoes, I would just encourage you guys to trust that you have no clue what it does to someone's mind having to be put through that stuff, the stress that you go through, the inner turmoil that you go through. Let me bring some clarity real quick. Hopefully you already know that I'm not saying this within the context of spiritually abusive leaders or leaders who are like committing egregious sin or anything like that. No, those people deserve to be critiqued and removed from their position as fast as possible, regardless of how good they are at that position. So I'm not talking about that. And I'm obviously not just saying this about myself. How weird would that be if I was just up here going, obey me and listen to me? No. I'm not the only one who preaches and teaches and carries weight around here. Y'all know that, right? We got volunteer leaders, ministry team leaders, group leaders, all kinds of other leaders, paid staff around here who do this stuff too. And you would be so surprised to find out how many of those people have had to undergo professional counseling because of rude, hateful, selfish, and mean church people. How many of those leaders I talk to regularly who deal with depression, reoccurring nightmares, panic attacks, anxiety because of mean church people who treat them some type of way, even though they don't even get paid to do what they do. People who are just rude to volunteer church staff. I'm just like, it happens, and I just think, man, why don't y'all do that? Like, do that to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, treat me like that. At least I get paid to put up with the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? They don't even get paid to do that. And yet, they work another job. They're married. They have children. They do all this for free, and they still put up with it. They still put up with mean people, preference-based people who have nothing nice to say, who have nothing to say at all until it comes time to complain. This is why we go out of our way to honor the leaders in our lives. This is why we always give our leaders the benefit of the doubt before we go and assume the worst and start talking trash about them behind their back. This is why we listen to what our leaders have to say and then actually apply it to our lives. This is why we don't just come to church and clap for the sermon. We actually go and start applying some of these principles to our lives. This is why we show up to meetings on time. Because believe it or not, even people who carry staff positions at a church have things to do. This is why we accept the planning center request and we don't just let it sit in there for weeks and weeks and weeks. This is why when we say that we're stepping on to take up some responsibility and we commit to doing something in the church, this is why we don't back out. This is why we don't call them up late on Saturday night just because you've been out too late or just because, your hair is not going to look good the next day and say, I'm not going to be there. I'm sorry. I know you were counting on me to take care of these kids, but I'm not going to be there. This is why we don't do that. This is why we honor our leaders. This is why we don't talk bad about them behind their back. Number one, because most of the time you have no idea why that certain decision was made that was made. You weren't there for all the other conversations. And number two, because it's sin. That should be enough. We know that, right? That should be enough. No, it's sin. And this is why we follow our leaders and we trust our leaders and we respect our leaders. Why? Because we love our leaders and because we need our leaders. Now, all that said, this is not a sermon about spiritual authority. I needed to throw it in there because that's a big part of honor. But you're not just called to honor your spiritual leaders. And you're not just called to honor important people like the president or like people who are in the army or people that are your role models. You're called to honor everyone. Every single person. Look at 1 Peter real quick. He lays it out very simply for us. Look at the very first, just the two first words of this. 1 Peter 2:17, it says this, honor everyone. How easy is that? And he actually expounds. He says, love the brotherhood. He's talking about really, really, really love and honor people that you are in church with and that serve God and that are in the body of Christ. And obviously fear God and obviously fear or honor the emperor, meaning like the national rulers of your country or, whatever, wherever you may live. But those first two words there, honor everyone, honor everyone. Why do we honor everyone? Because everyone brings something uniquely special to the table. As important as you think you are, everybody else is important too. Everybody brings something uniquely special to the table. Take our church, for example. We have so many talented and important people that make up Overflow Church. We have electricians, financial advisors, business owners, healthcare professionals, teachers, software engineers, plumbers, mechanics, coaches, musicians, parents, students. The list goes on. We have an outstanding list of incredible people with different skills and different giftings and different callings and different purposes. And even though all those abilities and callings and purposes are different, they are all equally important. This is why we honor everybody. God has gifted everyone with something uniquely special to bring to the table. And we're gonna go out of our way to find that thing and we're gonna celebrate it like crazy. Not just as members of Overflow Church, as followers of Jesus. This isn't an overflow thing. This is a Christian thing. This is a Bible thing. This is a follower of Jesus thing. We go out of our way, even if it means sifting through some parts of the person that you don't necessarily like and that kind of get on your nerves. Your call ain't to call out what gets on your nerves. The expectation that God has given you is to sift through all that. And even if you feel like, because it ain't, but even if you feel like it's only that much gold in them, you are expected by God to find that gold and to celebrate that. We honor everyone. Stand up on your feet for just a second. We don't just honor people within our hearts and within our minds. We take it to the next level. We demonstrate honor, meaning that we show honor through our words and through our actions. And we don't just do that because we're overflow or because it's a core value. We do it because Jesus did it first. We demonstrate honor through our words and through our actions because God himself in human form came and showed us how to do that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is your last verse of the day, Philippians 2. Check this out. Don't be selfish. God. Yes, sir. Don't try to impress others. Okay. Don't have that one either. Be humble. Okay, not there. Thinking of others as better than yourself. Don't look out only for your own interest, but take an interest in other people too, because you're supposed to have the same attitude that Jesus had, and this is the attitude he had. Though he was God himself, he didn't think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges, took the humble position of a slave, and was born a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on the cross. And because of that, because what does it say? The humble will be exalted. He humbled himself and died a criminal's death on the cross. And because he was humbled, therefore God exalted him to the place of what? Highest honor. And he gave him the name above all names, the name of Jesus, that every knee should bow in heaven and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue should declare that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. God loves and honors us so much that he, through the person of Jesus, gave up his divine privileges as the omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful creator of the world. And instead, He chose to come and die a criminal's death on the cross that we deserve. There are two appropriate responses to God doing that. And it's this, us doing the same thing. Us modeling that kind of love and that kind of honor to the people around us just like he did. And number two, us surrendering our lives to the Lordship of Jesus. Us giving him everything. For some of you in here, the call is very simple. Start honoring your spouse. Start honoring your friends, your coworkers, your peers, the people you go to church with, your spiritual leaders. Stop dishonoring them and start honoring them. Be intentional about it. But for some of you, the call in here is to give your life back to the person who so honored you that he gave his life up for you. For some of you in here, the call is for you to make a fresh start with God. This table that we've been talking about, the people around your table, you do realize that God has reserved a place for you at his table, the place of highest honor. Even the fact that we get to sit at a table and be in a family with God, it's the place of highest honor. God is not embarrassed by you. God is not mad at you. God is not through with you. God has a plan for you and a purpose for your life. And this morning, if you're ready to step into all of that for the first time or for the first time in a long time, then I'm gonna pray with you here in just a second. But before I do, for the sake of our youth, for the sake of everybody who grew up in church just like I did, I want to give a disclaimer. This prayer is not the prayer that you repeat so that you can spend an eternity with God and not be separated from him when you die. We don't pray that around here. Okay, that's not the call of following Jesus. Following Jesus has nothing to do with praying a prayer so that you can die and not go to hell. Okay, that's a perk. Following Jesus has to do with you surrendering every part of you, your attitude, your dreams, your ambitions, your money, your time, your effort, your words, your relationships over to the call of God on your life. He wants all of it. It is all or nothing. There's no, I'm gonna pray this so I don't go to hell. No. You have either given Jesus everything or you have given him nothing. And that's the call today, to give him everything, to honor him by simply saying, God, in the same way that you love me, I am now giving my life to you. And the moment you do that, the moment, and we are going to pray this out loud and all together as a church, the moment that you do, you're saved. The moment that you do, you receive the love and forgiveness of God that you could not have earned by any of your good works. The moment you do that, you get to step into a relationship with God. And so for those of you in here who are ready to do that for the first time or for the first time in a long time, I'm gonna pray that with you today. So with eyes closed, all across the room, eyes closed.
Hey everybody, so number one, I hope that you are all enjoying the most recent part to the Stronger, Better Core series. I know it's been good for me. I know our church is really enjoying it. And if you are, then number two, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, to follow us on Instagram, or to like us on Facebook. And then number three, if you want to give it to the move of God happening here at Overflow, you can do so via our website or via the Overflow app. Have a great day.